So, as you can see, I am still not driving the new Toyota Tacoma. That's because I'm away from the Toyota Tacoma on sort of a trip, I guess, where I left the Tacoma at home. I did have the option of driving it. I thought about it, but I had to drive alone if I did that. And I didn't want to risk damaging it on the freeway, if I'm being quite honest. And by damaging it, I mean stuff flying around, like stones to get chips in the front end or windshield. And I know that's kind of protective, I guess, because it is meant to be driven, right? But nonetheless, if I'm being honest, that's what figured into my decision. So, as you could see in the beginning, what I'm driving now is a Honda Civic. It is a 4-door. Nice car. I like this car. It's fun to drive. It's peppy. It's agile. And of course, it's different than the truck because it's lower to the ground, right? And one thing they have a lot of here in Central Ohio is roundabouts. We're going around one right now. Got to admit, I do prefer them to stop signs. As long as the other people driving in them know how to actually drive around in them. Ever been in a roundabout and have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and actually stop for the traffic that would normally be entering after you leave around the next bend? Drives me insane. And we still get that, even though they've been here in Central Ohio for years. So, the point of the video, you know, after being away from the truck for a while, you gain a little bit of perspective, I guess, in what you kind of miss about it. What's really good about the 2024 Tacoma. And the first thing that I'll mention, and honestly, this doesn't have anything to do with the Tacoma specifically. It could be any taller vehicle. And I'm talking about vantage point. You know, in a car, of course you're lower. I'm sitting lower. I can't see as well around other cars in traffic and stuff. And I just don't have that more, I guess, aggressive feel that you get when you're driving a taller vehicle, particularly in my case, the new Toyota Tacoma. Mine is lifted. It has a 2-inch level lift on it, so it's even a little bit higher in the driver's seat than it would have been just stock or normally. Now, next thing I miss is the size of it. You seem to get more respect when you're driving in a bigger vehicle. People seem to be more cognizant of your presence. They know you're around. These roundabouts is a good example. You know, I've noticed that in this car, people tend to jut out in front of me more often than they would when I'm in the Toyota Tacoma. And I think it's just a matter of perception. You know, they get the feeling, I guess, that it's safer to jump out in front of a car than it would be in front of a truck. And the new Tacoma is pretty good size too. Not to mention with some of the extras they've added, like the bigger fender flares, the spoiler on the hood. It's just a bigger appearance. It looks bigger than it really is, and people notice that on the road, I think. The technology and stuff on the inside. Love the new gauge cluster in the 2024 Tacoma. I love the look of it, the functionality of it. It just feels more up-to-date, more modern. Now, again, nothing wrong with this Honda Civic I'm driving in, but we still have a needle gauge for the speedometer. We do have a digital readout in the center, which is nice. I really love that. There's a time when we were kind of transitioning or putting in those digital readouts in the center of cars, where some manufacturers were doing it and some weren't. And I have to say, I did buy a couple of cars that didn't come with it after I've had it for a while. I really like having that in there. I don't even know why we have a needle gauge readout anymore. I think it probably should be gone. That digital number in the middle of the screen is plenty. You really don't need anything more than a number that's telling you how fast you're going, right? Next up is just the overall appearance of it. You know, driving around in the new Tacoma just feels good. It's hard to explain. It's more of a, I guess, a satisfaction thing, right? You're driving around in the Tacoma, and this may not even be specific to the 2024 because I got that feeling with the 2023 as well. And part of that, I think, is because it was modded. You know, I always change out the wheels and the tires and tent windows, which I have not done on the new truck yet, and all that kind of stuff. And it gives you a sense of pride, I guess, when you're driving around in a truck that hopefully looks good. Hopefully you're not the only one that thinks it looks good, but in the end it doesn't matter, because as long as you think it looks good, that really is all that matters. But nonetheless, there is a sense of satisfaction or pride in driving around in that truck. I find that as I'm driving around in this Honda Civic, I'm always looking around for other Tacomas and looking for acknowledgement. But I'm not going to get any acknowledgement, right? Because I'm not in a Toyota Tacoma. I'm driving around in a Honda Civic. I feel like I'm betraying my truck a little bit in driving this around. And I know that's really strange, isn't it? Do you ever feel that way when you drive a vehicle other than your Tacoma? That you, one, either miss it or feel that you're kind of betraying it a little bit because you left it at home and took something else. I'd be curious to know if you feel the same way about that. Lastly, let's talk about hauling. Now, it's not like I went on a trip and plan on doing a lot of hauling or anything like that, but when I'm driving the Tacoma with the bed on the back, I know I can. When I'm driving around in a car or any other vehicle that's not a truck that doesn't have that bed, I feel like I'm limited, like I'm not going to be quite as capable as I would be if I were driving around in my new Tacoma, or any truck really. I mean, as long as it has a bed on the back, you're going to be able to haul bigger stuff or other stuff. Like I said, I'm not hauling around a ton of stuff here, but let's say for some reason I wanted to go out and pick up something or haul something somewhere, I'd be able to do it if I had my truck. I'm not able to do it right now because, of course, I don't have my truck. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, kind of maybe revisit the new Tacoma a little bit. It's doing great. I haven't had any issues with it. And if you want to call anything an issue, I guess the only thing that's been off, and I think this was poor engineering myself, is the glove box little softener, fastener thing. That was a little bit off, and that it allowed the glove box door to move a little bit. You got a little bit of noise out of it. There was a bigger gap there than there should have been. A really simple fix. And I have to say, I love the people who are trying to use that to justify their stance that the new Tacoma has no quality and is not reliable. I mean, really, it's a glove box, and it's something you can fix easily yourself. Other than that, that's it. Truck has still been spot on. Love it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you've gotten the new 24 Tacoma. Are you having any issues with it, or is it still spot on? I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.